Who is Emeka Egbuka? A wide receiver from Ohio State, he's a route technician, manipulating defenders easily, like on this route, where he will sprint out of the gates and look as if he's going fully downfield, before one quick step will generate massive amounts of space. Here you can see he's immediately getting out of his breaks, but the defender who stays on him is the most outside boundary, meaning that the corner has outside leverage. That outside leverage sets Egbuka up great for this inside break that he's about to do, and that's why he leads him downfield in a straight line for so long, in order to get that defender to break his hips downfield instead of on the in breaking route here. And so then he cuts across his face and has massive amounts of space. By the time he actually makes that catch, it's in his hands and he easily has at least 8 yards of separation from the nearest defender, which allows him to generate some easy yards after the catch as well. Welcome back to the Franchise Tag Scouting Department. Today, the video is on Emeka Egbuka, and like usual, I'll first talk pros, then move to the cons, then move to some film analysis before I issue him his scouting report card, which is a culmination of grades at various traits in order to give a final verdict on him. Timestamps for all of these sections will be in the description. Kicking us off with his pros, Emeka is a route technician at all levels of the field, using his head and shoulders to set defenders up and ending up wide open afterwards. He is versatile as well, with Chip Kelly, the Ohio State offensive coordinator, using him in interesting ways, like putting him in the backfield, hiding him behind the offensive line, and making him the main motion man in the offense. While he spent a majority of his time in the slot, this variety of alignments and his ability to get open from each of them is a major plus. Another big plus, and what I think is the reason they were so comfortable aligning him everywhere, was his blocking. He was a stout blocker for the most part and contributes there more than most receivers do. His catching is good as well. I limit it to good because I did see some body catches and some things I don't like in that regard, along with some drops. So he isn't perfect, but those problems won't impact my grading of his catching by much. He also had a career contested catch rate of 59% and has good body control on those 50-50 balls. Getting into his cons, Emeka isn't the most athletic. He lacks top end speed to make him a true deep threat and does rely on that technical ability with his routes to get open. His yards after the catch suffered because of this too, as he struggles to generate a lot of space after the catch using jukes, spins, or any moves like that. Due to his motion-heavy role, he rarely had to face off against press and rarely aligned as the outside receiver in the offense, leaving me unsure of how he would perform as a wide receiver one in the NFL. That said, that's not a knock on him as a prospect, as we have seen many players excel as just being a slot receiver. And with the slot receiver role kind of growing in popularity of recent years, he can definitely carve out wide receiver one targets in the NFL as a slot receiver. Before we get to the film, if you're enjoying, hit like, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on Emeka's game. I kind of isolate myself from other opinions on players prior to the scouting reports, so hearing some feedback on if I missed something or if I'm in line with consensus is appreciated. Starting us off with the film section of the video, here we have Emeka in the slot, and the defender that will end up being on him is this player here. He's kind of encroaching the line to fake a blitz, and he drops back a little bit prior to the snap. But the route we have from Emeka is a simple out route, and he's going to stem this well. He's going to notice that, hey, this player is not going to be dropping, or he's not going to be blitzing. Here he is dropping back, and he starts off his route by immediately stemming inward in order to get in line with the defender here. So by getting in line, he then opens up the defender to have square hips and, sets him up to have a break on either side. The defender is kind of unsure which way he's going to be going until he turns his hips a little bit there, because he had originally had them out facing because he was inward aligned. He had inside leverage on Emeka. And so when he finally gets this kind of level playing field here and he makes this strong step, this is going to be his plant step. And that's right when the DB, linebacker, whoever's in coverage here, ends up, kind of squaring off his hips to make that decision on if he might break this way or this way. He wants to be ready for either. And right when he makes that little decision too is when Emeka makes that break outward and generates a good amount of space, gets the easy, quick reception. And luckily for number 7, the outside defender made awareness, went ahead, dropped off of his route and took that tackle because he was in his zone. But nice, easy little catch for Emeka that shows that great stem that he has on those routes. Then we have this snap where Emeka right now is about to start his motion to be the number 2 receiver in alignment instead of this number 1 alignment that he's currently at. And this is going to kind of be a clear out from this player here. And with Emeka's motion, he's going to be running and then he's going to cut underneath to be sitting in a nice kind of corner route. But, with that pre-snap motion, post corner, with this play, as I will let it play for a little bit here, he's going to get that motion. The alignment will shift a little bit on the defense. He's going to keep himself clean, no pushes and shoves at the line of scrimmage. And, we have his outside wide receiver here, down head, just straight up sprinting downfield. And this alignment, it sets up Emeka to be covered by this defender here. We have all of these players very clearly sitting around, not really going to carry him upfield. So he's running right past him. It's this defender that he's going to have to worry about. And right now, this defender has this inside leverage on him. And while he could cut it up early, that would lead to this player just hawking down on the ball, because there is no threat right now for this defender to have to turn his hips either direction, like I just spoke on with that Penn State clip. So letting it play again here, we have a little bit more of that leveling I talked about, that stem from Emeka. He's getting level, he's stemming straight towards the defender that he knows is in coverage against him. So he gets level with him, and that's when this player, opens his hips. His hips are now facing this direction because he's getting ready to break towards the interior. He thinks, okay, he's been running, he's kind of cutting to the inside here, so I'm going to start preparing to move towards the inside there. As good receivers do, they notice that leverage shift, and that's right when they make their cut. Immediately planting, starting to turn as the defender's hips are facing the inside, completely away from this cut that Emeka is making. And that's going to lead to the defender kind of spinning in a 360 looking for him. He's got to turn his hips all the way around, and with his momentum, he has to do it the long way. And, with all of this space here behind this linebacker, and then with the clear out generated, Emeka has a lot of space to make this catch thanks to this move that is only going to generate more space because of the difference in speed from the defender to Emeka. And with the throw, he does have to slow up a little bit, and it leads him downfield. Will Howard does, but I think overall he sets him up great here. As you can see, he's running straight at him. He is threatening the inside shoulder of this defender, and that's right when the defender is going to make that hip break. He's going to cut and face his hips inward as Emeka is making that cut outward, and that sets him up great for this easy catch. And another thing about the catch, he catches with his hands over the shoulder. It's a throw that is, commonplace, and it's a catch that is commonplace, but you still love to see those kind of catches. Getting into Emeka's report card, I gave his hands and routes B+, with his body catches and drops keeping him out of the A range for hands. If I was going to give him an A-, I would just like to see less of them. But the fact that I managed to see them in such limited tape study, it is something I might think would extrapolate to being more often, more frequent. So that'll keep him out of A range there. And then with the lack of an explosive release, I keep him out of the A range on those route running. He gets off the line. He's not really ever contested or pressed. And that's not really an issue. As I said, slot receivers and those motion men in the offenses are a premium. They're becoming more popular. But that explosive release, like sometimes he just slow plays it. He doesn't get out of there as quick as I would like. So that keeps him out of the A range on routes. In terms of yak ability, the yards after catch, he gets a B-. He showed good things against lesser competition. Unfortunately, there is no lesser competition in the NFL. And I just felt that he often didn't make the correct move, or sometimes he just tries to mull over some players, just bulldoze them, and he can't really do that. Even though he's built as a big slot, he's not really that strong. He doesn't play with that physicality. In run blocking, he does get a B+ as well. He contributed well there. Of course, he matched up worse against linebackers. So when Chip Kelly did utilize him on the offensive line or behind the offensive line or in the backfield, he does match up against the linebackers, and he doesn't show as stout blocking there. But if he did, he would have crept into the A's. Right now he's at that B+ range because he really does have good target acquisition on the outside against those DBs and those safeties, and he does manage to hold his own on most blocks. Overall, Emeka Egbuka falls into that B range for me, slight B+, that late first, early second round wide receiver pickup. Now, it is kind of hindered by, that yak ability. As a slot player, I feel like a big part of being in that slot, being the motion man, is you get a lot of space generated for you. And so then you want to maximize that space after the catch by gaining some extra yards. And he doesn't do that too well. Besides that, I think that he's really overall just a good role player. He will be a good slot player, but you can't exactly draft him and expect to see him be lining up outside and winning consistently on that outside. At least I don't think so against those lengthier, bigger, stronger NFL DBs. But with that, that's my opinions on Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Let me know your opinions down in the comments below. If I missed something, if you think that his blocking isn't that good, or that his yards after catch is better than I'm giving him credit for, let me know down in the comments. And in the description is a deeper analysis of all of the grades I did grade him by. So if you do want to know kind of some of the deeper meanings of some of those, what I'm really tracking when I say I'm grading his blocking, go ahead and check that description down there. But with that, this is the second to last scanner report. Got one more dropping before the draft, so stay tuned for that one. Thank you for watching.